Good morning, everyone, or for the East Coasters, good afternoon. So Saturday means I have another color tutorial for you guys, and this is the color technique I am using as inspiration today on my girl. So it's from Bianca Color. She works at Andy LaCombe Salon. I'm obsessed with her technique. So what she does are these really fine balayage strokes, and she only tips the ends, and that's how you get all that beautiful contrast in between, and the ends really pop. So that's what I did on my girl. I'm going to start with 30 volume with Redken Flash Lift because that's what Bianca Color uses, and she uses a 2-to-1 ratio with Olaplex. So I actually didn't put Olaplex in mine. I kept it a little thicker. So you can see here kind of my consistency, but after every brush stroke, I wanted to tell you guys that I clean my brush off on a wet towel. So every time you go to do another balayage section, just make sure your brush is super clean, and that way you'll always get those really clean lines. I'm actually going to do a tutorial for you guys on how to set up your balayage tray the correct way and show you how to properly apply color to your brush, so every time you have a clean application. So right now what I'm doing is going horizontally up the head, and I'm just doing very thin V's. Instead of doing like big panels, like really take like inch sections and do thin V's. And instead of bringing that balayage lightener all the way up, focus only on the last 2 inches of the ends. And when I was doing this, I was thinking, how the heck is this going to be enough color for her ends? Like, we're not going to have enough of that pop, but it seriously, just those 2 inches makes such a difference, especially because when you move to the front of the face, you have way more shorter pieces, and that means it goes closer up to the face, so it really does look perfect. So go follow Bianca Hillier, that's her last name, but it's Bianca Color on Instagram. And what I was trying to replicate was her brush strokes. So she does these really quick, singular brush strokes, which I'm going to try to work on myself because I have never seen someone paint such beautiful, smooth, straight lines. So I'm trying to recreate that here. It's a lot harder than it looks, but I actually think the more I did this balayage on my client, the better I got. So don't be discouraged, and don't be afraid to try balayage. And so what? You might mess up one piece, whatever. At least you're learning. And color is something that most always can be fixed. So I say just jump into it, try your best, and you never know what you're going to be really good at. And clients are obsessed with this right now. This trend is not going anywhere. So I would definitely give it a shot, and I hope you guys can learn something from this video and my other balayage video. So what Bianca Color also uses are Framarint, I don't even know how to say it, but Framarint brushes. I need to get those. That's like on my Christmas list for myself. But I really need to get those brushes because I've seen Larissa Love use them, and I've also seen her use them, and it seems like they are the best for balayage. So when I get those, I will do a review for you guys, and I'll let you know how much I love them. But this Redken Flash Lift, this is the first time I'm using this product, and Bianca Color uses it in her tutorials on Instagram, so I figured I had to get it and see what all the fuss was about, and it really is a great product for balayage. I was using Whirl Free Lights for a while, and I loved it, but I feel like this just lifted a lot better, and it didn't get dry, whereas Whirl Free Lights has a tendency to almost get a little pasty. And I also felt like when I mixed Whirl Free Lights, I had a really hard time getting my consistency correct every time. So that was a little annoying because I would overmix, or I couldn't mix enough and I'd have to run downstairs. So I'm sure you guys have all been there, but I would definitely give this stuff a shot. It's called Redken Flash Lift, and I used 30 volume, but if you have a client who really wants to be brighter and their hair can take it, definitely use 40 volume for balayage, especially if you're not using foils. If you're using cotton, I probably would have bumped this up to 40 volume. But my client did have very fine hair, so I did want to be really careful. So that's when you can bring Olaplex into the picture, or if you wanted to use Redken's Bond Builder, that's a good one too, pH Bond Builder. Those are both really great. So that also helps when you have someone with thin hair. And her hair was previously lightened, but for the most part it was grown out, so that was actually lucky for me, because then I got to paint over all of that depth and connect that root back into those ends. So if you have a client like that who has those deep, long roots that have grown out, then this is a perfect candidate for you to do balayage on. And especially if they don't want to see that traditional highlighted look, they're going to love this. And you can also add the price up, because this takes a lot of time compared to traditional highlights. So you can charge more and make more money, and you also look pretty badass when you're just painting on highlights. I mean, it does look really freaking cool. So let me know how you guys like this technique. I'd love to see the pictures of your clients if you use this. So just tag me on Instagram at Daniella Benita, or write me on Facebook. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. So as you're moving to the last section on the top, you want to either lower the chair, or if you want them to tilt their head for you, because I'm 5'2", so it's really hard for me to be above the person, but if you could be a little bit higher than your client, it's much easier to get to the top level of that hair. And don't be afraid to paint those highlights up into the root. Just use most of your lightener from the middle to the ends, and then at the last second just use the last bit of lightener on your brush. And don't worry if it's a little smudgy or blotchy or anything like that, because you can always go back and do a root blend. But if you can nail that technique where just the finest amount of lightener is left on the brush and you can paint that on that root and connect those highlights, it's gonna look perfect. So don't be afraid to just dig in there and give it a shot. So that's what I'm doing up here. I'm pretty much applying almost all of my lightener from the mids to the ends, and then I'm just going to go right back up and connect that root very, very slightly, and just use a very, very light hand and you guys will be good to go. Once we get to the front of the face, you're still going to keep doing these V patterns, but make sure that you realize if they do have layers like she does, she has much shorter pieces towards the front of the face. So it's a lot harder to balayage those lines because, number one, they're shorter, and then they're finer in the front of the face. So just keep your balayage strokes really clean and consistent, and don't worry about being super heavy when it comes to your lightener application. You really want to take less once you get to the front. But it's the same pattern, horizontal sections with tiny V's all the way up the head, and just saturate the ends. And I'm going to do that all the way up the head, and then once I get to the top, really put a lot of detail in the front of those pieces in front of their face. And again, you want to blend from the middle to the ends and then go back and finish off that little root section. And try to keep it as clean and as polished as possible. So here's the last section, and this is the most important for both sides of the face for your client. So if you have to, I would section out those front pieces so you really take extra time to make those look perfect. Because I know once you're done the back, then you're done the sides, you get kind of tired. So just sectioning them off and reminding yourself like, okay, these are really important, will definitely help. So take really thin sections with that lightener, and I even like kind of arch my back and stand in front of them to really get that fine strip in their front of their face. So that's what I'm doing here, and that's where you see that really beautiful bright pop right in front of the face, like almost like Sarah Jessica Parker's hair. And that's definitely what we're going for, because that's the money piece right there. So her lightener had already been on in the back for about 30 minutes, so I only needed the front to process for about 20 more minutes, and I was really looking for like a level 8, 9, and she lifted pretty quickly, so we got this really beautiful caramel like creamy color that just looked so good with her skin and her eyes. So I didn't even need to tone her or anything, it just looked pretty flawless. So now I'm just giving her a nice blowout. I always start in the front of the face, and then I continue towards the back. If you guys need a blow dry tutorial for your clients, I'd love to do that for you. Just leave me a comment in the comments below. And I always end my blow dry with a cool shot just to add shine and really close that cuticle. And here you can see it straight from the back. All those pieces were really light on the bottom, and the highlights really connected everything. So I was really, really happy about that. And now I'm just gonna give her some cute little beach waves, and I'm gonna brush them out with my fingers, and then she is good to go. So you're gonna see the final look in just a second. Here we are, here's the final look. So obsessed. I seriously love her hair so much. I feel like it turned out exactly the way I wanted, and I wanted to show you guys the difference between the first picture, which was natural light, and then this is my ring light in my room. So the ring light has a much cooler tone to it, so you can see the difference in lighting. So I want to make a video for you guys about that too, because lighting is everything when it comes to your hair photos. But I hope you guys learned a lot and you love this tutorial. Please let me know what you want to see, and Let me know if you have any questions at all. I love answering those, so please leave me comments below. And thank you guys for watching. I will see you next Saturday with another tutorial. Love you guys. Bye.